Darren DeVries and Indiana basketball refuse to stop working in the transfer portal.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. It is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's at FanDuel.com. Well, thank you so much for being here. Shout out to all of my everydayers. We're going to talk about what the heck is going on with this house settlement stuff and the NCAA. And now you got colleges suing athletes and roster limits coming. I mean, it's a mess. We'll talk about what all that's going on and how it affects Indiana moving forward. Plus, another guard visits Indiana basketball. I know, another guard, but one you're going to be excited about if he becomes a Hoosier. But we have more big guys to discuss because Darren DeVries and this staff refuse to stop working in the transfer portal. They refuse to let it go. They refuse to sleep. I think they refuse to eat because all they do is work in the transfer portal. And the idea right now, obviously, for Indiana is we're going to load up on as many guards as we can for this year, next year, and beyond. We'll fill it in with big guys where we can, and we're going to try and win some basketball games this year. That seems to be the plan. And when you look at the focus of college basketball and you look at the history of this sport and who wins national championships in the NCAA tournament, it's teams that have really good guards. And I think Indiana's got a bunch of those. And I could get another one that was visiting this week. But you love where your guard room stands. I do anyway. I said yesterday, if you missed the show, I think it's the best guard room in the country. I still believe that. And I think it could only get better from here. But you do have to have some size to compete in Power 5 basketball. You do have to have some size to compete in the Big Ten. And right now, the only size that you have is Reed Bailey, the Davidson transfer, who is really good, but he can't do it all, which is why the Hoosiers are still after big men in the transfer portal. And there's a new name we're going to talk about later in this segment, but just to remind you of two guys that the Hoosiers, I think, are still after, and as of today, as of this recording, have not committed anywhere, and the Hoosiers are still in conversation with. It's Federiko from Texas Tech and Leo Curtis from overseas. Remember, he's the 2025 kid who was committed to Arizona State. He then decommitted, but he was offered by Indiana the first time, and the Hoosiers were in the running the first time. He just picked Arizona State over Alabama, Indiana, and others. Don't know why, but he has since decommitted, and the Hoosiers have been all over. Remember, he's the 7'1" or 7 feet 7'1", depending on where you look. He's over 7 feet tall from Iceland and was playing over there in their basketball leagues and things like that. That's the kid that averaged, just 15 points a game, 9 rebounds a game, 2 blocks, and shot 65% from the field in 23 and 24 when he was playing back there. So, he's kind of good. He's okay, I guess, as a 7-footer that can score 15, 16 points a game, nearly average a double-double, and can also shoot it from behind the arc. I think that is still in motion. I think that is still being worked on. I think the Hoosiers are still in contact with him. Do I think it's a done deal? Do I think it's a solidified thing? Do I think it's 100%? No, I don't. And there are others that say that's true. And if it ends up happening, great. But I'm not there yet. And I think Indiana still has work to be done. In terms of Federiko, remember, that's the Texas Tech transfer who has 1 year of eligibility remaining, 5 points a game, 5 rebounds a game, shoots it at almost 75% from the floor. Not a high volume guy, but a high efficiency guy. Haven't heard a ton here just yet. He hasn't committed as of this. And so somebody you could bring in, and if he needed to start, you could start him. And he would really just be kind of your rim protector, throw it up there type of guy. He's not going to go off for 15, 20 points every game, but you could put him down there and it'd be okay. Those two names we've already talked about, and I think Indiana's still in a good spot with them. But there's another name that just entered right at the deadline that could be your starting center at Indiana, because centers are starting to fly out of the portal now and start to go to these different schools. But this name has not as of yet. His name is James Scott. He is from Louisville. Okay, he is a rising junior. He's played 2 years of college basketball. One was at the College of Charleston, and then he transferred to Louisville, and now he's heading to his third school in 3 years. Sounds scary, I know, but that's the era of college basketball that we're in. I'm not worried about it. And what I'm not worried about is the fact that his numbers have gotten better in almost every category from year 1 to year 2. And that was from going to the College of Charleston to go into a pretty good Louisville team. Here's what he did last year at Louisville. He started almost every game from them, all but 4, averaged 7 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, shot it at 76% from the floor. He's 6'11", 220 pounds. He does not shoot threes, so don't ask me that because he doesn't, and you can find that out for yourself. His free throw shooting is abysmal. I will give you that. It is terrible, and that would need to change. But he is a rim protector, paint guy, throw it up and let me dunk the basketball type of guy. He runs the floor very well. That's one thing I really liked about him is he runs the floor. And with that Louisville team last year, you didn't really have a choice but to run the floor because that's just what they did. And they had really good guards running with him as well. And you go back and watch some of the film on him just to kind of figure out, okay, what type of a big is he? Well, he just kind of stands there and waits for you to throw the basketball to him. And when you do, he's going to score. A lot of pick and rolls on the high pick and rolls, a lot of alley-oops when the second defender pulls over, which we've talked about with a couple of these guys already. But that's what James Scott did. Very athletic, though. Very, very athletic. He looks like a 4, but is big enough to play a 5. And look, if you can hold your own in the ACC, you could probably hold your own in the Big Ten. I think the ACC was a joke last year, but Louisville was not one of those teams. Louisville was legit a year ago. And so I put him in a situation where you could start him at the center position. And you get best of both worlds here. You could start him as a junior, and you could use him as a senior as well. You could use him as an immediate starter, an instant impact player, but you also don't have to use him as a 1-year rental, which is the concern with some of these guys. Not with James Scott, spelled just how you think it is. And he's from Louisville, where, again, that was a good team, and they had good guards and ran good sets. He didn't do anything fancy, but he didn't have to. They got him the basketball when he was open, and he scored. It's pretty simple. And he grabs a bunch of rebounds, he crashes the glass on both ends, and he holds his own on defense. What else do you want from a big man? What else could you ask for? You don't need them to score. Gone are the days of Indiana basketball where the center has to be the focal point of the offense. Get that crap out of your mind, because it's not going to happen anymore. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. The guards are going to run the show. And James Scott is somebody who slips into that spot because you have to have a center, and he's going to be there for when you need him, because the guards are going to be the highlight of this thing, and they will make him better. I think he's somebody that Indiana could really, really benefit from this coming season and beyond if they snag him out of the transfer portal. All right, coming up here on Locked On Hoosiers, speaking of the portal, we got another guard on campus this week. It seems like we can just not get enough of them, but I really like the potential of this kid. We'll talk about him coming up next right here on the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. Not the NFL, not quite yet. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and they are here. And FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting just so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props or jumping on live bets in these playoff games. I mean, look, I know it's the NBA and there's a lot of blowouts, but you can jump on and maybe somebody makes a comeback, or maybe you think it's going to be a close game. You can do all of that with FanDuel. You can combine live prop bets into a same game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. That's at FanDuel.com. Welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers, your daily spot for all things Indiana athletics. And we appreciate you making this your go-to listen, go-to watch every single day. And just quickly, if you're listening on audio, we ask you to do a few things just to help us out. Follow us over there, turn on those notifications, leave us a 5-star review on that platform, and send it out to everybody that you know. If your grandparents can't work YouTube, that's fine. Let them listen to the audio version. But if you are on YouTube and you like this version better, then we appreciate you being there. And you can like this video, hit that thumbs up, tells me you like what's going on, tells YouTube you like what's going on. That way more people can find it. Also, leave your thoughts in the YouTube comments down below. Your thoughts on James Scott, your thoughts on Leo Curtis, your thoughts on this guard that we're about to talk about from Elon. The Phoenix is who we're talking about coming up in just a few moments. And so leave your thoughts in the YouTube comments and then subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Okay, a live update on that. Haven't given you one here recently. Let me refresh this as we go. 5,575. That is incredible, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much for that. We're on our way to 56, 57, and beyond. So thank you so much for your support of the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. Well, as crazy as it sounds, Indiana's brought in another guard to take a visit this week. And you feel like there's no more room, right? You feel like there's no more spots to fill for a guard on this Indiana basketball roster. But as I said in the beginning of the show, man, the identity of Indiana has changed. The identity, heck, of college basketball has changed. I mean, guards are the key. Guards lead to success. And Darren DeVries has made it very clear we will not have a shortage of guards. Remember last year? There was a shortage of guards. You were relying on Anthony Leal to be good. And love the kid. All credit to him. He was awesome and became a very fan favorite type of player, but that's not what we're looking for. That's not realistic. Not here, not in Indiana. And so Darren DeVries has made this idea of we're never going to run out. We're never going to have a shortage. We are never going to have a guard problem. And you've seen that with Lamar Wilkerson and Tatum Conaway and with the DePaul kid, right? I mean, you have so many options at the guard position right now for Indiana. Josiah Miles from North Florida. I mean, you just start looking at all these guys and you think, how are they all going to play? And guess what? They probably won't all play, but you have options for this year, next year, and beyond. And that's what's really, really exciting. Connor Enright, that's his name, you have options to work with for years and years to come. And I expect this to be a trend in the portal where they never stop, where Darren DeVries and this staff will always, always, always get guards in the transfer portal. And another one that was visiting this week for Indiana, this was from 247, says that Nick Dorn was on campus this week from Elon, the Elon Phoenix. He was on campus this season, and this is somebody who loves to shoot the basketball. I mean, loves to shoot the basketball. As a sophomore, okay, just completed his sophomore season, played both years at Elon, was not a starter, was a role player in year one as a freshman. He was then a starter in year two as a sophomore at Elon. He's 6'7", 200 pounds. Yes, as a guard, 6'7", 200. More on that in a moment. He averaged 15 points a game, 4 rebounds a game, shot it at 37% from the floor, but he shot it at 37% from three. He's a 38% career three-point shooter. He makes 3 or 4 threes a game. That's his average. He makes about 3, maybe 2, but we'll say 2 to 4 threes a game. So averages out about 3 is exactly what he does. I mean, literally, as a freshman, He went 2 for 5 on average, and as a sophomore, he went 3 for 8 on average. So that's just what he does. He loves to shoot the three, and he does it in all the different ways: on catch and shoot, off the dribble, step in transition. He doesn't care. He's going to let it fly. And he doesn't have to be completely open to do it either. He'll shoot it in your face. Doesn't matter. He'll pop one in your mouth. Doesn't care. He'll just let it fly. And he can make them at a pretty good clip. Again, 38% for his career, 37% a year ago. This is somebody who I look at immediately and I love the way that he plays. Would he fit in Indiana right now? I don't know. I don't know, because there's a lot of talent in there. And the problem is, well, I say a problem. It's a good problem. The fact that he is 6'7", 200 pounds, and plays as a guard. Man, when you watch his film, he looks like a forward. He's built like a forward, but he moves like a guard. And it's like, what's wrong? Like, what's your problem? You look like, it looks weird, but he looks awesome. And he is incredibly, incredibly talented because he can handle it at the top. He'll bring it across half court. He'll get the high pick and roll, or he'll hand it off and take the back door, and they dump it off to him. And it's like, okay, the big's going to go lay it in. No, he just rises up and slams it down. That's what this guy does. And it's like, holy smokes, where does that come from? He's an electric player, and he can score, he can shoot, he can defend fairly well from the limited defensive film things that I could find, but he has good size and good length, so you trust him to stay on guards in the Big Ten. But here's what's fascinating here. Remember, we've categorized all these guards that we've talked about and the ones that have ultimately committed to Indiana. We've kind of categorized them into 1-year rentals, role players, future stars on this roster. Question is, where do you put Nick Dorn? Where do you put a guy like him that averaged 15 points a game last year at Elon, shoots it at nearly 40% from three, and he's 6'7", who could probably start at a Power 5 program right now if he wanted to? Where do you put him in those categories? Do you start him? Do you play him as a role player? Or as he's coming in as a junior with a couple of years of eligibility, do you say, hey man, we believe in you. You could be the future, as one of the pieces of our future, right? As we've talked about that with several guys, you could be part of the future. We just ask for you to trust us and hang on. I don't know. I genuinely don't know where you would put him, because I think he could do all of those things. My guess is, because he's so talented and you don't want him to leave, you could put him as a significant role player. You could put him, call me crazy, what about a backup three? What about a backup three option behind Tucker DeVries? Because 6'7", at that point, you could technically run a 3-guard set with some guys off the bench with a couple of backup 1s and 2s, and then run Nick Dorn as a backup 3 for Tucker DeVries. I wouldn't hate it. I don't think it's a bad idea. You're taking one 3-point shooter off the floor in Tucker DeVries, who can't play for 40 minutes. He's got to sit at some point. You put a guy like Nick Dorn in, who shoots it at nearly 40% from three, and he handles it like a guard, and he can guard other guards. I think that would be a real possibility here, ladies and gentlemen. I think that is something that you could absolutely do with him. And look, just because he visited Indiana doesn't mean he's going to commit here, but the Hoosiers want him. And I think you should too, because I do. I think that would be awesome. I think him playing right behind Tucker DeVries as a solid 3, but you could use him at other positions if need be. Man, that gives you so much flexibility. It's unbelievable. And I think that's exactly what Indiana wants to do here. We'll see what happens. Again, a 15 points per game scorer, nearly 40% shooter from the field, from the 3 as well. He visited Indiana this week. We'll see how that goes. He's got a couple of other places lined up, but we'll see how that goes. And we know that Indiana's been pretty successful when they get guys on campus. So keep your eyes out on the Elon transfer, 6'7", 200 pounds, Nick Dorn. All right, coming up in our final segment on Locked On Hoosiers, going to kind of broaden out a little bit here and quickly discuss the house settlement thing that's going on. The NCAA, the House, and Tennessee and Arkansas, and suing and NIL. I mean, it's gotten kind of nasty, but do we really have any more answers? We'll talk about that and how it impacts Indiana moving forward right here on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices, no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and more, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. The latest technology helps with Wi-Fi and things like that, your auto low latency mode, advanced technology. Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds you need to stay competitive. Folks, you're playing games on your TV. Do you listen to that? Isn't technology awesome? You can do that right now with the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K, okay? You can have parties. You can have your friends over. You can just play on your own. You can do whatever you want, and you can play on your TV. No more carrying your console. No more plugging all your crap in. Just pick up your controller, turn on the TV, and go. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller are required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, 2nd gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, 1st and 2nd gen, and Fire TV Cube, 3rd generation. All right, final segment here on Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you so much again for being here, and going to discuss something that is ongoing, and we will have many, many more discussions about this, but seen a lot of people, not just Indiana fans, but just fans in general, who are curious on what all of this house settlement stuff is, and it's nowhere near done. They've come to a couple of conclusions, and I wanted to kind of jump in on this for just a second here. You've now got the House, the government, basically, going after the NCAA and butting heads, trying to figure out how in the world we're going to control what the heck is happening in college athletics. And right now, you're at the point where the NCAA is about to have to wax 150 plus of their rules. You've trying to get control on NIL, trying to get control on payment of players. And now you've got teams like Tennessee and Arkansas who are suing former players to get NIL money back that they feel is unearned by said players, the Iamaleava stuff. I mean, it is wild to see what's going on right now. And the best way that I can describe it, because as of right now, there hasn't been a ton of concrete things decided. There's a lot of topics being discussed and voted on and put on the agenda, right? But the best way that I can describe it is they're just trying to get a hold on all of this, right? I mean, you heard Kurt Cignetti earlier this week for Indiana football talk about how you've got rosters now that are exceeding $25, $30, and $40 million for college football. Makes sense given the fact that Kentucky basketball is spending more than $20 million on their basketball roster. Okay, I said basketball in there for $20 million. Folks, that's what Ohio State paid for their football team last year that won the national championship. And now you've got football teams that are paying $30 and $40 million a year just to have a football team, a competitive one in Power 5 and Power 4. It's insane. It's absurd. And a lot of this legal stuff is where the Iamaleava stuff comes in, where if somebody were to commit to Indiana and the Hoosiers said, okay, we're going to pay you $250,000 to come play running back here. Just throwing out random numbers, positions, and things for the story, okay? You come here, we're going to pay you $250,000 to play running back in Indiana. You enroll in January, but you leave in the portal in April. Did you really earn any of that money that we paid you? Let's say we paid you, $200,000 of it. Did you really earn that? Did you really get what we paid for? Not really. We didn't really get our ROI on that. And so that's where Arkansas has stepped in. And they said, yeah, we're not taking that crap anymore. Iamaleava, the younger one, Madden Iamaleava, they said, nah, you owe us $200,000 because we paid you. You didn't play a snap and then you dipped out. No more. No, not so fast. That's not what's happening here. And so it's truly incredible to see what's going to happen. Will roster limits be a thing? That's being discussed right now in there. Will there be contracts? And then you've got revenue sharing. I mean, there's so many branches to this conversation that are just so insane. And I think for Indiana right now, the best thing to do is just put your head down and get to work and just keep working, keep grinding. I'm talking Indiana athletics as a whole, because we understand here in Bloomington, we've got a pretty good NIL situation going on. We are on the fortunate side of NIL right now. It will be controlled eventually. It will get under wraps eventually. It will be managed eventually. But if you're Indiana, you've just got to take advantage with football, basketball, and beyond, because other schools are doing it. So why not us? And that's what I say when people are saying, oh, Indiana's paying $12 million for their basketball roster. Okay, who cares? Kentucky's paying $20 million for their roster. You do what you got to do to compete in the world that we're in. And folks, it won't be like this forever. It won't be this out of control spending craze that we're in right now. It won't be like this forever. That's what all of this House versus NCAA stuff is. I firmly believe that the NCAA will cease to exist. I think they're worthless. I think they're pointless. I think they are a joke of an organization. And they will not represent schools like Indiana much longer. Will they represent the South Alabamas or the Western Arkansas of the world? Yeah, probably, because those schools need somebody to represent them, even if they can even survive with their athletic programs. But Indiana, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, we don't need the NCAA. They hurt us. They don't help us or the student athletes anymore. And so there's going to be a lot that comes out from this. And I recommend you read and watch as much as you can just to try to keep up with it. And we're going to talk about it as it goes, because there will be major changes in how college athletics run from right now until forever. And I recommend that you keep a close eye on it, because things are going to change. It won't be like this forever. But the sport and the sports that we grew up watching and covering and loving, they're changing in front of our eyes. And they hopefully will change for the better, since they've kind of changed for the bad here recently. So we'll see how all that goes, but we are out of time here on today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Again, thank you so much for being here. Cannot stress enough how much I love doing this show and how much I love all of you and appreciate your support each and every day. We are back tomorrow, okay, to wrap up the week here on Locked On Hoosiers. So until then, Hoosier fans, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.